You ever been there? You're just scrolling, you click on one video, and then suddenly, you just can't look away. Well, that's not a lack of willpower. Turns out there's a powerful psychological principle at work, a kind of storytelling trick that creates this itch in your brain, this need to stick around and find out what happens next. So let's pull back the curtain on the science behind the scroll. And it all starts right here. 3. In today's digital world, which is just absolutely flooded with content, a creator has exactly 3 seconds to grab you. That's it. It is a tiny, tiny window to make you stop scrolling or you're gone for good. And this quote? This is the golden rule for winning that 3-second battle. In the attention game, clarity is literally everything. If you don't immediately get what a video is about, your brain, which has been trained by endless scrolling to be super efficient, just says, nope, and moves on. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to dive into that 3-second war for your eyeballs. Then we'll decode the algorithm, the powerful gatekeeper deciding what you see. After that, we'll crack open the creator's playbook to look at their psychological tricks. And finally, we'll talk about how the best of the best go beyond just views to build something way more important, trust. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, the 3-second war. And look, this isn't just some catchy phrase. It is the day-to-day reality of making content online. Every single scroll is a split-second decision, and creators are in a constant fight to win it. You know, if you feel like your attention span has been shrinking, it's not just you. It's not a personal failure. It's actually a biological adaptation. Our brains have been rewired by this constant fire hose of content and notifications. We've been trained to hunt for instant value and filter out everything else at lightning speed. I mean, just think about how different things were in the early days of the internet. Remember dial-up? We'd actually wait for pages to load, pixel by pixel. We were patient because we were willing to wait for the good stuff. But now, forget it. Our brains demand instant gratification. We expect content to prove its worth in milliseconds. But you know, our brains are only the first hurdle. The second, and you could argue it's way more powerful, is the algorithm. It's the ultimate gatekeeper of what we see and what we don't. And make no mistake, it is incredibly powerful. A recent experiment showed that a whopping 70% of all video views on a platform like YouTube come directly from its recommendation algorithm. So it's not just suggesting things, it's actively shaping what billions of people watch every day. And to really get how this gatekeeper thinks, you have to see how it's evolved. Back in the day, it was simple. More clicks meant a better video. Of course, that led to a ton of clickbait. So in 2012, the system got smarter and started prioritizing watch time. But now we're in the age of personalization. The algorithm isn't just looking at the video anymore. It's looking at you. Yeah, here's the key thing to understand. The algorithm doesn't really rank videos against each other. It's more of a matchmaker. It's constantly asking, okay, based on this one person's viewing history, what are they most likely to click on next and actually stick with? It's like having a personal movie programmer, but for, the entire internet. And that personal programmer changes its strategy depending on where you are. When you first open the app and you're on the homepage, it's casting a wide net, pulling from everything it knows about you. But the second you're watching a video, that suggested list on the side gets laser focused. It uses the topic of what you're watching right now to predict your immediate mood. Okay, so we get the battlefield now, right? We've got our rewired brains demanding speed and this super smart algorithm playing matchmaker. So how do creators win? Well, let's open up the playbook and look at the psychology they use. A lot of it starts with a structure that's as old as storytelling itself. First, you hook them with a problem, a pain point they know all too well. Then you agitate it a little, really make them feel it. And just then, you introduce your video as the solution. You show proof that it works, and then you give a crystal clear call to action. It's a simple journey from ouch to aha. And remember that psychological principle I mentioned at the very beginning? This is it, the Zygarnik effect. It's a fancy name for a simple idea. Our brains absolutely hate unfinished business. When a story is left hanging, it just sticks in our head. Creators exploit this by creating what they call open loops, basically little cliffhangers that our brain feels a deep, nagging need to see closed. So how do they actually create these open loops? Well, they might show you a super dramatic clip from the end of the video right at the start. Or they'll ask a huge, juicy question and promise to answer it later. Another classic is to start telling a great story, get you hooked, and then just pause it. each one of these opens a loop in your mind. And you keep watching because, well, you just gotta know. And this psychological pull isn't just for viral videos. You see it everywhere, especially in the news. Research from Harvard actually confirmed that headlines with negative words, particularly words related to sadness, get more clicks. Why? Because they create a massive curiosity gap. It's an open loop that our brain needs to close by finding out what went wrong. Now, for short videos, think TikToks or Reels, this whole playbook gets compressed into a lightning-fast formula. You need a hook in the very first frame, then a new shot every 3 seconds to keep our brains from getting bored. Every scene has to feel like it's moving forward. You deliver a big, satisfying payoff, and then, and this is key, you cut it off the instant it's over to make people want to watch it again. But here's the thing. Getting a view is one thing. That's the short game. The most successful creators, the ones who are still around years later, they know that attention is temporary. Trust, now that's what builds a real, lasting audience. That's the long game. And this is where this strategy makes a huge pivot. Chasing whatever's viral today is exhausting. True success comes from a totally different approach, becoming a reliable resource. It's about actually listening to your audience, figuring out their biggest problems, and then making content that solves them. And often, that trust is built on a foundation of 5 specific video topics. We call them the Big 5. These are the things people are desperately searching for answers to. When a creator or a company is brave enough to talk openly about price, admit the potential problems with their product, make honest comparisons, and show real reviews, they stop sounding like a salesperson and start sounding like a trusted guide. That's how you build a loyal following. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to this. In a world full of perfectly polished, corporate-looking content, what we all really crave is a human connection. We don't need perfection. We respond to authenticity, to genuine passion, and to the feeling that there's a real person on the other side of that screen. So there you have it. We've laid the playbook wide open. You've seen the 3-second war, the mind of the algorithm, and the psychological hooks designed to keep you glued to the screen. So the only question left is, now that you can see the matrix, will it change the way you watch?